I guess I have to start at the beginning, which I will try to make as short as possible, but I will try to get some relevant information and answers out of this video. So I will do my best to kind of focus as good as possible on what has been happening to me. So for those that don't know me, I'm Ben. I've been struggling with some form of tendonitis or tendinosis or RSI or whatever you want to call it. Mostly my right hand has been affected by it, my left hand as well, but not as much in the past year. So actually, it has been more than a year now. I've been struggling with the symptoms for, I think, in total 14 or 15 months, which has been quite a tough time for me. So, to make it very short, as far as I can recall, the most intrusive thing that has happened to me, which might have caused this issue, must have been my master thesis. Basically, when I was studying physics. I was finishing the studies. I have been pushing myself very, very hard for months to finish my thesis in time. It was more or less a deadline that I set myself, but there were also external factors pressuring me to finish the thesis as fast as possible. So I've been doing this kind of very intense uh, work hours every day, which meant basically that I've been spending 10 to 12 hours in front of the PC every day for about 6 months. I've been doing a lot of work before that, but it was not as intense as this, so I don't really count it because before that I was working maybe 6 to 8 hours a day, but this has been fairly common for me to work that many hours, so it was nothing new in that regard. But especially the last 6 months of the master thesis, where I've been pushing myself really, really hard to work every day 10 to 12 hours, um, have been straining me quite hard. Something worth pointing out here is that when I say that it was every day, it was basically every day. I've been doing it without weekends, without vacation, without visiting friends. I basically canceled even my own birthday party to just work every day in, day out for the 10 12 hours every day. I finished the thesis fine. I graduated with exemption, which is exactly what I wanted. And then basically like clockwork, 10 days later or like 2 weeks later, I got this huge burst of pain coming out of my right wrist. And that's basically when it all started. It was at the beginning a very acute pain. I was getting it even when I was not using the hand. Just the hand was laying around and it felt really uncomfortable and it was swollen. But after taking some medication and putting like some, I don't know how to call it, like cooling bandages on top to just lower the temperature, it got better. Basically within weeks the swelling went back and the acute pain went away. So I've at this point felt confident to get back to work again on the PC, even though I was finished with studies. I just wanted to do some other things in front of the PC. Either I wanted to do some coding or I wanted to just browse the internet. I just felt confident to return to the PC, but like within minutes of using the mouse again, I felt that my wrist is nowhere near where it needs to be. So I basically stopped again. And to make it very short, it hasn't really changed since then. Exactly the symptoms are more or less the same. So basically, as long as I'm not using the hand, it's mostly okay. But as soon as I start using the hand, especially the mouse, it gets bad again. Very fast, usually. It doesn't take even like, I think, maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes of using the mouse, and I get like this small bursts of pain, which only lasts for a second or something. They come in like regular intervals of, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes once. But if I keep using the mouse, they will come on even more and more often, and eventually it turns into more or less a constant pain. And at this point, I need really to stop because I cannot focus on doing my task anymore. So in terms of the symptoms which I had back in the day when this all started, basically once I realized that this pain will not be going away anytime soon, mostly they were like uh, like a pain centered around this area, like where the lower tendon is, the flexor tendon. It was mostly fixated around this area, a bit maybe up on this area, but it was mostly fixed there. Of course, I had some issues on the upper tendon going to the finger as well, but this was just a slight burning. This was never super serious. My biggest issue was here in the lower flexor region on the right hand, which I cannot show you now because of the tape. So I'm showing it on the left hand. I would be getting pains there, usually mostly from working on the PC. But soon I also found out that everything that kind of required fine motions of fingers, like playing cards, for example, because I tried to get away from the PC and find other hobbies. So I tried playing cards like poker or Magic the Gathering with my friends. And soon I saw that basically holding the cards in a fixed position, like with this, with my hand, right? Like this. After 5 or 10 minutes, my fingers just would get tired and I would get a strong burning sensation the whole back of the hand and I just couldn't hold the cards anymore. So I needed basically to stop playing cards as well. Then I moved on to board games, figuring that this would be, but also, moving like figurines around on the board game, like this the whole time. Like this, the whole time. Soon it was the same thing. It was either burning on the back of the hand or like the whole region, like this, going down the arm on the outer side, which is the ulnar side of the arm, would be burning. It was a burning sensation. So it was not too comfortable. So basically, I started wearing hand braces whenever I would be doing these activities to minimize the burning. But it felt only like it was only just mitigating the symptoms, but not really fixing the cause. And I was not really able to do anything about fixing the cause. Also, mostly because most doctors I went to in this period of time, which was between the beginning and maybe like half a year of this issue, they told me that just do nothing. They told me just rest it and it should go away by itself. Which I did. As I said, I started avoiding the PC as much as I could and I started to look for the hobbies as much as I could, but just resting it was not fixing it. One thing that was very weird during this time, especially in the beginning, which is also kind of the case now, but it was especially true in the beginning, was that when I was doing an aggravating movement for my wrists, I would feel fine during the movement itself. Like, for example, of course, when this all started, I did not go to the gym for a long time. Then one time I made up my mind and decided to go. And in the gym itself, I felt perfectly fine. I had no issues whatsoever. I did a couple of deadlifts and a couple of other light exercises, not to strain my wrists too much, and I felt fine. Then I took a shower there, went home, and at home, this region started again. This lower region where the lower tendon runs, right, and goes in the wrist. This region started hurting, like this area started hurting like nothing else. It was not a burn. It was not this burning pain which I knew from playing cards, because this felt harmless. No, it was like a deep-seated, like a insane pain coming out, which really scared the shit out of me. I've never been to the gym since, basically. But this pattern has been repeating quite often, that I've been doing that. For example, I did a movement or an exercise given to me by a therapist, and during the exercise I felt fine, but for example, after the exercise, like 1 hour or 2 hours later, or even sometimes the next day later, I felt awful. The whole wrist felt fucked up. It felt sore. It felt like aggravated. It felt like it was a mistake. Something that also happened many times to me. I went to a new therapist. I was all motivated to do whatever he did. He gave me some exercises to try. I went home. I was doing the exercises religiously because, believe me, I wanted to get this shit fixed. So I was doing them really stubbornly, exactly as I was told to. And the thing is that the first day I felt fine, the second day I felt fine, the third day I felt fine, but then I kept the volume and the intensity the same. I was not changing anything. But as days been passing, the situation has been getting worse and worse and worse. Eventually, it got to a point where the pain, basically, from just doing the exercises, either doing the exercises or afterwards, which I was getting from the exercises, was so bad that I basically had to stop the exercises. This happened to me like 3 or 4 times. Every time, it felt like the more exercises I did, the more I aggravated my wrists, which was something that really depressed me a lot, because it made me feel like there is nothing I can do. Anything I try ends up aggravating the wrist even more. So basically, yeah, I was struggling because also, I've been working a full-time job at the time already. I found a good job which made me very happy, and I've been working there like a regular 40-hour week, and which was fine-ish. So I of course I had issues at work, but this was like manageable. But doing work and then coming home and doing exercises on top of the work, it was too much. It always sent my wrists spiraling out of control and hurting like hell, and me either taking medication to kill the pain, or just handling dealing with the pain, and being depressed and whatnot. So it was not optimal. So this was what has been happening basically between the, I don't know, the beginning of the issue to like 9 months in. So just to give you a rough idea what I did on top of the exercises while working to try to get rid of it during these 9 months, I have a list. So I did basically 10 times laser therapy, which basically was infrared laser, basically just the red light on the affected area in the hopes it would somehow regenerate it. Did not help. 5 times chiropractor, of chiropractist, whatever you call it in English. You know what Ellen is from Two and a Half Men. 4 times I got acupuncture. 9 times I got like deep friction massage. And this was 9 times. 5 times I got like tendon massage. I went 4 times to physiotherapy, which did not work out because I needed to quit the exercises, and the therapist was not willing to accept this. 9 times I went to ergotherapy, which is kind of similar to physiotherapy. I got 3 cortisone shots into the wrist. None of them really helped. Maybe they helped for like a week or two, and then the effects wore off. I got 10 times iontophoresis, which is basically like electrolytes, like electricity going through my wrist and maybe stimulating some growth and regeneration in the area. And after those 9 months, since I did not see any real improvement, I started wearing my braces for both hands, but mostly for the right hand, like non-stop for 3 months, non-stop. And this also really, it did not change anything significantly. Braces were felt only like mitigating the symptoms but not fixing the underlying cause. And also like some ultrasound on the wrist to kind of maybe break apart bad tissue or whatnot. And also I got an MRI done on this wrist, and also on my back. And yeah, nothing was really conclusive. The MRI showed in this area that, yeah, there might be a very, very small fracture of the TFCC, but symptom-wise and behavior-wise, it does not point to the TFCC to being the source of this issue. And also the MRI showed that there is some changes in the tissue and inflammation liquid present in the wrist, which is, yeah, okay, quite obvious because the burning pain and whatnot is inflammation. So this has been this is just a part, but the bigger part of the things that I did in the past year of my issues, just to try to get rid of it, and none of this really helped. So basically, now we came more or less to the present, or the at least last 2 months how they've been, and sadly, this was the first time, because ever since it started, my symptoms never really changed. It was always the same story. As long as I rested my hands, they felt mostly fine. But as soon as I started doing anything with my fingers, especially the mouse, the phone, or tablet, or playing cards or games, anything like that, it would always hurt. Just now, even doing this motion with the hand caused a pain sensation, of the flexor, way down here in the forearm, way down here. So just hurt. But this is the left hand. This is supposedly the better hand. It is better because the right hand is in this, right. So yeah, but the symptoms haven't changed since the very beginning. But sadly, in the last 2 months, I got a new symptom. mainly I got a strong and very I got a tingling sensation exactly in the worst area possible, exactly, exactly here, where the tendon ends, and the tingling has been going up into the hand on the side, and then a bit into the palm, so like this. It was usually doing like this, right? It would go up and then into the palm, side, here. This would be tingling always, and sometimes even down the tendon a bit, but not much. uh, how did this tingling arrive? Basically, after those 3 months, I went to another hand specialist, and he told me that it is a very stupid idea to wear braces for this long because you're losing muscle, you're losing flexibility, which is all true, but keep in mind that without braces, I was not able to work at all anymore. I needed the braces to just work. So he told me to get rid of the braces, which I did in a very safe manner. So I did not quit them cold turkey. I reduced them by day, by bit a bit, and within like 3 or 4 days, I was working without braces, and I was basically. He told me basically to try to not to keep my hands in a fixated position, just as if I were wearing those braces, to just not move my wrists as much as possible, to just imagine as I would have imaginary braces on my hands, to just avoid the bad movements which could cause the aggravation. Because definitely this movement, like if this is the mouse and doing this movement outwards, like the ulnar deviation, this movement, if I would be doing this over hours, using a mouse and doing especially simultaneously things with the fingers, this movement towards the ulnar side eventually would cause burn and pain, and just pain in the wrist. So he told me just to basically not just to learn to use the mouse without doing ever this. So yeah, it's possible. I was just holding my using basically my shoulder and my whole back to do this movement, to never use my wrist to do this. It was possible, and I've been doing this for like maybe 5 days, and it felt fine for the most part, and I was feeling really ecstatic that I've been making finally some progress. But then I got this tingling sensation. I don't know why. Maybe this maybe stopping to using the braces was too much for my wrist, but I got the sensation, and it was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And at the beginning, because it's just a tingling, it's not a very strong tingling, so it feels like a very light sensation. And I have not been minding it too much, but eventually it was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And I think after like 2 or 3 weeks, I finally took notice that this something weird is going on, because eventually this tingling sensation felt eventually like strongly, like as if I would have ants inside my hand, right? So that's when I took notice. I realized that the tingling only occurs when I stand up, and just basically let my hand, like just hang, like like this. When my hand when my hand hangs down, then I will be getting the tingling sensation the most. So I got freaked out by this. I tried to fix it. I started wearing the brace, but it would not really budge. It would not change by much. I've tried many things, and eventually anti-inflammatory pills seemed to help the most. I've been taking like 2 a day for maybe a week, then maybe like one a day for maybe 3 days or something, and I was able to reduce it significantly, like only down to 10 or 20% of what it was in the worst times. So it was almost gone completely. But still, at this point, my doctor got really spooked and told me to basically take a sick leave, because something with circulation is going on. Something is swollen in this area, and he told me to take a sick leave. So I spent maybe a week at home, just resting my hand, not doing anything. And again, the hand felt quite fine in this time, because I was really avoiding using the hand as much as I could, to the point where you need to know that my girlfriend has been washing my hair for me, because I did not really want to do this motion a lot with this hand. So she's been washing my hair, for example, whenever she could, of course, because that's not always an option. And then exactly after this week of total rest and the hand feeling fine, I took up some exercises again, which I've been given by my current therapist like some time back. And one exercise, basically the only one that I did, because I wanted to start slow. The only thing I did was put it away like this, and then up like this. So pull like this and then up like this. So to do this I need to pull like this and then like this. But when I did this, what I did not keep in mind is, look what my green hand is doing. My green hand is doing exactly this kind of tilt, which is exactly the one which is the worst. I've been tilting my hand, you know, in the bad angle many times over and over again. So why is this bad? It is bad. So as I told you that this movement is the worst for my wrist, right? So this is exactly what I've been doing during this exercise. See, my hand naturally, when I just take the position to do these exercises, this hand wanders into exactly this position, which is exactly the bad one. And since my hand and my issue is never this kind of type of issue that it tells me immediately, I don't get this pain response immediately telling me please stop now. No, of course I finished the exercise, which took like 3 minutes non-stop of this, which is quite a lot for someone who has been resting. And after I finished the exercise, the 3 minutes, I already felt that when I kind of just when I just stretched my fingers out like this, I had pain here. Just doing this and holding my fingers like this caused pain, you know, again in this lower flexor region. Here I had pain. And basically, ever since that, the tingling came back, pain came back. Basically, the whole hand has been more sensitive to pain. I mean, like, not sensitive to pain. It was more easily triggered to cause pain. Like, maybe yesterday it was possible for me to open up a bottle quite fine. Now it's painful. Maybe yesterday I could open a door with the right hand. Now I cannot open a door anymore. It's quite painful. So as you see, what is the moral of the story? The moral is basically that whatever I do, I seem to do it wrong, no matter what. Even if I listen to the therapists, it always somehow fucks me up. And the most annoying part about all this is that no one really seems to know how to help me. No one seems to be able to tell me whether it is the best idea to rest the hand down maybe for 2 months, maybe just rest the hand for 2 months and absolutely do nothing with the hand, and maybe then slowly start with physiotherapy, or maybe do now the exercises because exercises are supposedly able to help me. But somehow I feel like I'm caught in this loop between I need to stretch my tendon to relax it, but whenever I try to stretch my tendon, something bad happens and I end up aggravating it even more. I cannot find any way to approach this issue. So I did this video for you guys to basically maybe someone can listen to it and just kind of understand what I've been dealing with, and maybe can just suggest exercises and I don't know, approaches for this issue to kind of solve it. I would be really thankful if anyone had any information about my specific issue, because keep in mind that I've been on the internet ever since this began. Maybe not as diligently as I could have been, but after 6 months, it was pretty clear to me that this issue is not going away anytime soon. So I started browsing the internet pretty intensively. So I know all about eccentrics, for example. I know all about stretching. I know all about, I don't know, other things. I've been reading a lot on Reddit or other pages about different approaches. So I know the general theory is that eccentrics and stretching are supposed to help the most. My issue is that usually those pages or those knowledge sources are not tailored specifically to this lower tendon. Like, it seems that no one ever has issues with this. This lower flexor tendon that runs here and ends basically here, and where the palm begins, you know, seems to be the best tendon ever, and no one ever has to do anything about it. And I'm the only person in this planet that has issues with it. Of course, I have also issues with the upper tendon, but I would be so glad if I could just approach the lower tendon, because the lower tendon is the one that always makes me stop exercises, makes me depressed, and the pain level is 10 times greater than with the upper tendon. So basically, I would be very thankful if anyone could give me like an easy step-by-step approach for easy exercises to start with working for this lower ulnar flexor tendon in the arm to kind of, I don't know, I guess to get the ball rolling, because ever since I've been having this issue, I was not able to continuously do any exercise for longer than, I don't know, 3 weeks, because always it would aggravate me, because those exercises usually were never tailored to this lower tendon. I need ideas to how to, and please keep in mind, slowly start to apply pressure and stretches or just eccentrics to this one tendon, to not overdo it, because keep in mind I just did 3 minutes of this, right, where this arm was doing this movement, and this was enough to fuck me up for 3 days. I've been already in pain for 3 days for this one exercise. Yeah, so thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. I'm going to do most likely like update videos every week from now on, just also for me to just keep track of how I've been doing and how my progress is evolving. But for now, I'm mostly just asking you, what can I do? Thank you.